Welcome to Marriage Masterclass, Ask Love Coach, Marriage and Relationship Podcast. I'm not sure where you will be viewing this from, either on my Facebook channel, on YouTube, on my podcast platforms, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're new to the channel, to the platforms, kindly subscribe, follow us, whatever it says, wherever it is that you're following, subscribing. Also, click the notification bell so that you're notified whenever we post new videos. Today's topic is so dear to me just because a lot of relationships that are struggling or suffering, or the ones that are flourishing, stem from today's topic. First of all, I want to apologize in advance. I'm not well, so I might be sneezing in between my class or my lesson, and I might be kind of wiping my nose. I know it's disgusting, but I'm really sorry about that. I needed to push this out today. So today's topic is pretty much what it says: marriage destroyers and builders. So marriages, individuals are unique. So also our marriages and relationships. So a lot of relationship issues we encounter are not really relationship issues, they are individual issues, just by virtue of you bringing your personal baggages and issues into the relationship, whether it's healthy or not. So if you're a healthy person coming into a healthy relationship with another healthy person, what do you expect? I believe some high level of healthy. Whereby everybody's toxic, I don't know the goal. The goal must definitely be to be toxic, even though it's not planned. That's not what you set out to do. I believe two unhealthy people can heal within the relationship, but whether or not they want to pursue that is, entirely up to them. A lot of couples that are separated, divorced, or broken up stem from today's topic. So it's quite big for me. You're gonna be learning how to actually pay attention to these two aspects of your relationship. Whatever that is making your relationship to flourish, that is what you consider the builder, and you must focus on those things. Then those things that are destroyers, you're going to be focusing on how to reverse them. If the goal is for you to have a healthy, fulfilled, long-lasting relationship. Long-lasting comes at the last. It's last for me if I have a hierarchy of how I should align healthy, long-lasting, love-filled relationship. A lot of us focus more on long lasting and we don't focus on the in between, so we tend to suffer. And that's where a lot of people think marriage is endurance, marriage is some death sentence or some jail or bondage, where you go to just suffer and endure. I don't believe so. I don't belong to that school of thought. I understand relationships take effort, but it takes people who really want to be in the relationship. Whereas when one person is checked out, one person is uninterested, it takes two. It takes two. I know I'm digressing a little bit, but if you look at it, I'm not really digressing, but I'm giving a lot of instances that are not pointing, straight into the topic of today. But at the same time, I'm within, the same sphere of the issues or the topic of interest. So a lot of people often will question someone who is trying so hard to work in a relationship that it's almost like it's dead and broken. Broken relationships may be fixed. Dead ones are dead, so it's just to be buried. Pretty much that's it. One person cannot carry a relationship. It takes the two if you really have any form of goals. I understand relationships are unique, so also some of the issues and whatever it is they experience. My examples are not all the examples there is. But the goal of this topic, quite frankly, the objective of this topic is pretty much for you to pay attention, reflect, try and understand your marriage or relationship destroyers and what the builders are, pretty much. And you're able to learn how it's important for you to understand these two aspects of your relationship. So what are some some marriage destroyers. There are so many marriage destroyers, if I'm really honest. But I have limited mine to 5. So poor communication is one of the biggest, any one of us can agree. Communication can trickle down to different aspects of the relationship. So it's not just about I'm talking to you and you're talking to me back, or we're listening, or we're trying to do something. But communication can be verbal, non-verbal. Communication would reflect itself in different aspects of your relationship. The way you resolve conflict, the way you manage each other's time, the way you show love, the way you build trust, intimacy, bond. Whatever you do, there's an element of communication there, whether it's verbal or non-verbal relationship. It could be, let's say I want to have sex or make love to my husband or my boyfriend or my wife or my partner. Let me just use the word partner because it just helps me to eliminate husband and wife and all of those long topics. Maybe when I look at you a certain way, or I touch some part of your body, you just kind of know it without me saying a word. That is some form of communication. So whereby there is a healthy communication model in the relationship, what does that look like? It varies for many of us. So effective communication will look like this. Someone is talking. You must have ability to talk and the ability to listen. You must have ability to, put across what information, what instruction, comment, whatever that looks like, so that the other person will be able to comprehend, understand what it is you're desiring from them. So communication is not one-way street. Both people should have the ability to listen and ability to also speak. You communicate your needs, your desires, your wants. So when you have that high that capacity to comprehend and articulate and give that information to the point so that the person you're talking to can understand you, and you who is listening, you're able to give the person evidence of some proof that I'm actually paying attention to what you're saying, as opposed to be nonchalant, indifferent, uninterested. That can break somebody's spirit, especially for someone that you cherish, because this is someone you're sharing your intimate part, your intimate self with. So the person must have certain level of regards in terms of your opinions, your ideas, your feelings, your emotions, all of that put together. So it's very key for you to be able to communicate effectively and listen attentively. When you have poor communication, I promise you, this can destroy your relationship. Some relationships are destroyed, but they are just present. They are just there for camouflage, and they are there to put on a front for whoever they want to put it up for. It could be people in the society, it could be people in the community, or it has a significant impact on certain positions you hold in the public, affairs or something. It could be personal, but poor communication can destroy a relationship, or can destroy the connection or the bond couples have in the relationship. So some people, of course, are just coexisting. They're more like roommates, of course, but that's not the goal of this channel. The goal of this channel is for people who are healthy, who feel fulfilled in their relationships and in their marriages. Lack of trust is another big one. So lack of trust comes in different layers. So it's not just infidelity or insecurities or dishonesty, lack of transparency, betrayal, or some unresolved issues, whatever that might be, because sometimes we carry some of these unresolved issues into marriage, even though we know that this is actually affecting our peace. But it's better than just continue to have that title most women and most men will want to have. So lack of trust. A lot of people who are in lack of trust relationship, I must tell you, it's not an easy position or place to be. You have turned to FBI, secret intelligence officers. You're a police officer, like you're policing whoever broke the trust. You are literally micromanaging them, and it can be frustrating for the person who is policing and the person that is being policed. So you see that the relationship is not even, it's not even interesting. It's nothing to look forward to other than the status of the relationship. I am in a relationship, I am married. Other than the title, are you really happy? That's why these days I get to see some people who ask, who go ahead to ask, not only are you in a relationship, they even take the next step to ask if the person is happy. Of course, they cannot give you the happiness you desire, but of course, they know that this is reality for most relationships. They are unhappy and they just decided to be in the relationship without doing any, making any effort to change their narratives. Another destroyer would be unresolved conflict. It's kind of tied to the lack of trust, but unresolved conflict can be many things. It can be anything. A lot of relationships start small, but just because there's no updates or any efforts on both sides to address those issues, that will fester, that will escalate. And as it's escalating, it's building a lot of extra, branches, which becomes even harder for people to even get through to. Because you might be thinking you did one thing, but you didn't know that it has actually birthed so many other issues and so many resentments that you are not even aware of, just because, again, there's poor communication. So unresolved conflict, that's why you see a lot of divorced people. You check the reason why they are divorced. It's like it's the unreconcilable differences or something like that, because they have too many unresolved issues. So you are on one side thinking that maybe it's because of what I did yesterday. Meanwhile, this person has been building resentment since the day you said hello to her and you said hello to her family member. Just because we have poor communication, people are not truly honest and transparent. They are so interested to be in a relationship than anything else. So they prioritize the relationship but not the health of the relationship or what the relationship could birth. So they are just fulfilling some checklists they've made up in their heads or society has made up for them. A friend of mine was actually, we were talking yesterday, and she mentioned to me about something she watched somewhere. I don't recollect, but it was more or less like, why is it especially women, they tend to forgive their partners, but they find it so difficult to forgive their family members who wronged them. And I said, no, that's not what it is. He said, what do I mean? I say, yeah, let me explain what I mean, because the fact they are in that relationship does not mean they're forgiven. Have you not seen some women who waited for their last child to get into university or get their first job, and they divorced the man for offense that the man committed 20 or 30 years ago? The man does not even remember it like in details, but the woman was still hurting. But the circumstances surrounding her situation in that moment did not allow her to walk away. And a lot of women have this mindset of, I struggled with this person, I built with this person, so I cannot leave this person for another woman to come and enjoy the fruit of my labor. So they rather stay there and struggle to see how much they can fix and join, the relationship that may never work. Because relationship is an intentional action that two couples who are intentional decides to do. Like, you have to. One person cannot be working on behalf of the two of you, because it still won't work. When one person is so indifferent about building the relationship up, and the other person is straining themselves, putting their sweat and their blood in it, and the other person doesn't even know why you're doing all of those things because they are not willing to do it, then you wonder why you're so exhausted, you're so frustrated and unhappy in the relationship. So once again, do neglecting needs, having unresolved issues or conflicts can also, you know, be tied to many other relationship issues because, like I said, it feels as if you are not valued or seen or appreciated in the relationship. That could result to negligence. So neglecting needs, it could be physical, emotional needs. Again, that could be a conflict that happened previously, and the person does not even know over time that this is actually still very present in the relationship, and that is actually having this kind of impact on the person you're dealing with long term. So neglecting needs can also affect the quality of the relationship because when someone feels alone, they feel like they are not supported, they are neglected by their partner, and they feel a sense of dissatisfaction, like they are not just happy. It's as simple as that. Like I said, a lot of people will stay in the relationship. That does not negate that they are not still happy. They stay there for any reasons. It could be that at the moment this person is financially supporting me and I can't just pick up and go. So I'm going to stay here and see if I can plan my life while I'm still here. And some people may never leave till death do they pass. Or was it a quality relationship or a quality life? Did you feel fulfilled and satisfied in the relationship? Most likely not. And when people have that level of neglect, like again, the conversation I had with my friends, they had like different layers. And I mentioned that I've had, clients who would have sex with their husband and they're still mad with him for what happened the first year when they were dating, even before they got married. So they still have this unmet needs. They still feel alone in the relationship. What people don't understand is the number of people who are in a relationship where they feel single is quite high. Although I don't have the statistics, but that's a thing. A lot of people are in a relationship, but they're acting, or they're married, but they're still acting single. Not in a promiscuous or, in that kind of way, but they're single in the sense that they have to still cater for all of their needs. And the ones that have children, they are pretty much raising and carrying the burden alone. And the person they are married to is indifferent. It can happen to both men and women, but it's very common with women. My last point so far with the destroyers of the lack of compatibility. This is something I try to explain in most of my videos, as well as to many of my clients, and even just generally people who I talk to within my network. I always explain to them the difference between compatibility in love and love. But since I'm limiting this to lack of compatibility, I'm going to just give you just a quick overview of what that means. So lack of compatibility is pretty much you are not aligning on more levels than your alignment. You don't see things from the same viewpoint. My viewpoints on money is completely different to yours. So it seems as if we're constantly arguing. It becomes frustrating because it's like you're not reading the same book, talk more of reading the same chapter or the same page. So it's almost as if you people are just on your worlds apart, like you're from different era, like or even different different words, like you're not even operating on the same frequency, like completely different. So you'll be wondering sometimes, like, are we actually saying the same thing? So are we, how did we even get together? Like, who even spoke to each other for the first time? How did we get here? What did you even say to me that made me say yes, I'll marry you? It becomes as if it seems as if you are just being aware, like you're just finding out today. So when you do not have that compatibility, that's when you see people say they fall out of love. No, nobody falls out of love. When you love somebody, you love somebody. You don't just fall out. You don't fall out. You never fall out of love. What they actually mean is, for you did not realize you didn't have compatibility. You forced your way in. Now you're frustrated because over time, life will just confirm all the red flags that you did not pay attention to. Life will revisit the red flags and bring it out to you in a more frustrating way. Like when you know you're not compatible with someone, you don't have the same family dynamics, you don't have the same personal goals and values, you do not see life in any shape, like you're just completely from a different planet. That's what happens. So all of the things I've mentioned and many more, this does not happen to every relationship, but most likely maybe one or two of the things I mentioned could be, but what is unique destroyer to your relationship. So whatever that is, you're able to figure that out and see how you can, walk through those things. Some people don't know because they are just operating on autopilot. They haven't paid enough attention to know what those stressors are. Just the same way you have destroyers, you have builders, those things that nourishes and strengthens your relationship or your marriage. What are those things? Effective communication. When you feel seen, when you feel valued, appreciated by your partner, the feeling is different. The feeling is different. You feel more closer to your partner. You feel more special to them. You are willing to sacrifice for them than ever before. You are bonding with them on a different level, like you're operating on almost the same frequency. Like you can see from the destroyer, it started with communication, because communication in everything you do in a relationship, even in a relationship with your family, with your child or with your children, everything has an element of communication. Like I said, it could be verbal or non-verbal, but communication is the cornerstone, is the bedrock of any healthy relationship. You're in a relationship where you can honestly be vulnerable. You can share your own truth. I may not agree with it, but I have to be able to give you the grace to at least hear your own perspective, because at the end of the day, my perspective is unique to me. And my perspective is my perspective. You might get it or you may not get it. So having that ability to effectively communicate in a marriage or relationship will, bring close bond and build more stronger connection. Because when there is solid or effective communication in a relationship or in a marriage, you're able to work more effortlessly together. You're able to resolve conflict. You're able to build connection, bond. You're able to do a whole lot of things together. That is very, 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 very key. You are spending quality time together. You're able to know each other, on a more deeper level other than the surface level. Like, it's like you're two in one. You know each other. You can almost complete each other's sentences. You kind of see things as close as possible from the same lens, as opposed to a very magnitude, like significant way, and people are wondering like, what was the connection again? So you have to even explain harder to people how you manage to cross each other's path. You're able to truly have this mutual respect and support for one another. When couples feel supported, like my partner has got my back, like my partner has my best interest. There are some couples who are just in competition with one another. They are operating as if they are two different people. But when you work in a marriage, you're going to try as much as possible to work as if you're one person. And that can only happen when you are intentionally building to become one person through communication, through your actions. You're supportive to one another through you're supporting each other's individual goals and aspirations, as well as a couple. You're able to reassure your partner, you're feeding them emotionally, spiritually, and otherwise. You are like their support system. You're their rock. You're their cheerleader. You're their biggest fan. So you are you are compassionate. You are empathetic, or you have empathy. You're able to sympathize with them. You're able to empathize with them. You're able to truly. Your goal is to. It's almost as if you're trying to switch, like put yourself in their position so you can truly serve them and understand and see them in the best possible light. So your relationship, as a result, will thrive because all you're doing is nurturing it. You have shared goals and shared values, and like I said, you're both supporting each other's shared goals and values. All of these things will help you to actually stand the test of time. Because when you have that fulfillment, just like from my video from yesterday, having couples who have fulfilling individual needs as well as their couples needs, because a lot of couples unfortunately feel like being married is the setback, like it's almost like it's a curse, it's a bondage. I was striving before I became single, and it seemed like since being a parent, since being a wife or a husband, I don't even recognize myself. You see some parents with their children, it's as if they're just a huge burden, like you are just slowing my life down, but you made those choices to get to this point. That's why it's important for you to be well informed before you take the leap into adding another human being into your life and say we're going to do this life together. I've seen a lot of single people so far. I even have like close friends, they're not even clients, who are intentionally single because they're all career driven people and they know that they are not willing to make the sacrifice the marriage and relationship entails. And because they know so much about these things, not because they lack knowledge. The more they know about it, the more they're like, it's definitely not for me. And I respect such people than people who know that actually this is not my thing, but because the world standard or cultural standards or family standard has made this a requirement. So I'm doing it to please everyone else but myself. Then they enter into a relationship and they just become so miserable. Now they've made their partners miserable. Now they are bringing a generation that is going to be miserable just by this singular choice you've made as an individual, as opposed to being intentional with your choices and just damn everyone else's choices and face the consequence. So this channel once again is just here to feed you with a lot of information, knowledge, strategies, so that you can make informed decisions whether or not you're married or you're in a relationship or even as a single person. This channel is not just for married people or people in a relationship, but most importantly for people who are single, because when you have a lot of information, you are most likely going to make hopefully the best intended decision for yourself. So why do we even have to bother knowing these destroyers and builders? So that you can have it boils down to one thing. The importance of this whole thing is so that you can have a fulfilled, happy, long lasting relationship. Pretty much that's what it is. But because for you to get to that point, you have to have the ability to have open communication. You are able to build trust. You are able to solve problems that would emanate from the relationship. You're able to personally achieve your goals, your desires, your aspirations. And when all of these things are ticked, good, happy, Once you're in that space, it becomes easier for you to feel satisfied. It's easier for you to feel happy in the relationship. It's easier for you to feel fulfilled. But when these things are lacking, it's just struggle love. You're just going to be in the relationship struggling, enduring, wishing and hoping because you're suffering there. That's why a lot of people think that relationship is just a prison or some place where it's almost very it seems like it's very unattractive place to be in because of lack of awareness of knowledge of what marriage and relationship means. So we walk into it blindly just to be surprised by a lot of things we thought was different because we haven't given context um, to a lot of the things we thought marriage was about, the way it was portrayed, the way people had shown up in those spaces. It becomes disappointing. It becomes very unattractive. But when you have all of the information, the knowledge, you will never have all the information, but at least you have some knowledge and information that can help you make decisions that will be best suited for you as an individual as opposed to the world and your family or the community where you come from. So these are the main reasons. Like if I were to summarize this whole topic, you having ability to know your destroyers and the builders and the importance, it's pretty much so you can have a fulfilled, satisfactory, and hopefully long-lasting relationship or marriage. Pretty much that's the essence of this, because it's all about the health of your relationship, just like from what we spoke about yesterday. So this is more like an extension of what it looks like, but you having to be able to truly identify and analyze what needs to be done to give you the satisfaction and the fulfillment you need in the marriage. That is the essence of this video. As always, I want to say thank you for taking your special time, your precious time to come and join us today to learn one or two things. Like I always say, if you have any specific need or topics you want me to address, if it's something I'm able to crack, I would definitely make pay attention to it. But if not, you would know that this is not something within my abilities. But as much as possible, I will try to bring content, strategies, and information that hopefully will be vital for you as you make decisions as a single person, as someone who is in a relationship or someone who is married. As always, if you need a coach, a love coach, as a single person, as a couple, you know where to find me. My website is pretty much what I'm looking at or glaring at is makemeyourlovecoach.com, www.makemeyourlovecoach.com. If you want to reach us via email, my email is also makemeyourlovecoach@yahoo.com. You can connect with us on Facebook, YouTube, although that is not on the screen, but you can always look up that in our I believe it's somewhere on the profile as well, so you can follow the link to any of those bottles for you to continue to enjoy what we have to share. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.